Hello, my name is Preston Thomas, and this is episode 49 of The Way of Jesus. This episode continues to mine information about the rider on the white horse from the book of Daniel, this time from Daniel chapter 8. It also identifies the rider on the white horse as the beast of Revelation chapter 13, and explains why he is referred to as the beast. This episode concludes by noting that the actions of the rider on the white horse, the beast, are the actions of the riders on the red, black, and pale horses. Like Daniel chapter 7, chapter 8 also describes the doings of the rider on the white horse. This time he is identified as a little horn that arises out of the four divisions of Alexander the Great's empire. These four divisions of Alexander's empire were 1. Macedonia and Greece, 2. Thrace and Asia Minor, that is modern Turkey, 3. Egypt, Cyrenia and Palestine, and 4. Syria and the lands to the east. Daniel chapter 8 provides new details and confirms the story of the rider on the white horse found in Daniel chapter 7. Here's what it says. Out of one of them, that is, out of one of the four divisions of Alexander's empire, came forth a little horn, which grew exceedingly great toward the south, towards the east, and toward the glorious land. It grew great even to the host of heaven, and some of the host of the stars it cast down to the ground and trampled upon them. It magnified itself even up to the Prince of Hosts, and the continual burnt offering was taken away from him, and the place of his sanctuary, that is, the temple at Jerusalem, was overthrown. And the host was given over to it, together with the continual burnt offering through transgression. And truth was cast down to the ground, and the horn acted and prospered. Daniel does not understand the vision, and Gabriel comes to him and explains it. This is what he says. Understand, O Son of Man, that the vision is for the time of the end. Behold, I will make known to you what shall be at the latter end of the indignation, for it pertains to the appointed time of the end. 4 kingdoms shall arise from his, that is, Alexander's, nation, but not with his power. At the latter end of their rule, that is, the rulers who came after Alexander, when the transgressors have reached their full measure, a king of bold countenance, one who understands riddles, shall arise. His power shall be great, and he shall cause fearful destruction, and shall succeed in what he does, and destroy mighty men and the people of the saints, that is, followers of God. By his cunning he shall make deceit prosper under his hand, and in his own mind he shall magnify himself. Without warning he shall destroy many, and he shall even rise up against the prince of princesses. But by no human hand he shall be broken. Gabriel begins his description of Daniel's vision with these important words, which tell us the time when the vision will come to pass. Understand, O Son of Man, that the vision is for the time of the end. Thus, the vision moves forward from the time of Alexander's death in 323 BC over 2 millennia to the time of the end. By this time, the world has become so dominated by secular, corrupt, and evil forces that God passes judgment on the earth and sends his heavenly forces to overcome and destroy the evil ones. Gabriel states, "At the latter end of their rule, that is, the rule of men, when transgressors have reached their full measure, a king of bold countenance, one who understands riddles, shall arise." This king of bold countenance is the little horn. He is the conqueror, the rider on the white horse in Revelation chapter 6. His description in chapter 8 mirrors the description found in Daniel chapter 7. He shall become very powerful and cause great destruction. Without warning, he shall destroy many. He shall succeed in what he does and overcome mighty men and those who follow in the way of God. In chapter 8, we also learn new facts. He will rise up even to the host of heaven, and some of the hosts shall be cast down, and he will trample upon them. He will dominate Israel and especially Jerusalem. He will take away the continual burnt offering, and the sanctuary will be overthrown. Truth will be cast down. He will be quite intelligent and cunning, and make deceit prosper. In his own mind he shall magnify himself, and even rise up to oppose Jesus. But in the end he will be defeated and destroyed by no human hand, that is, by God. Now the book of Revelation speaks of the time of the end. The end of what? It is not the end of the world. It is rather the end of the present world order, the secular and corrupt rule of men over the nations of the world, and its replacement by the rule of God. At the time of the end, the kingdom of God will come to rule over the kingdoms of men. The coming of the rider on the white horse is the initial event in this end-time scenario, which culminates with the forces of God overcoming this conqueror and instituting the kingdom of God on earth. The book of Revelation, in its description of the actions and fate of the rider on the white horse, refers to him as the beast. He represents a secular individual whose whole being is given over to his lower animalistic instincts and who has totally rejected his higher spiritual nature. Like the conquerors of the great empires of the ancient world, including Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome, he is a conqueror who seeks not the good of the people he rules, but rather great power for himself. He is devoted to the service of self without regard for others or the will of God. Rather than seeking to overcome his animalistic nature, he has chosen the dark side. He follows in the way of a godless animal and is thus referred to as the beast. The actions of the red, black, and pale horses depict the dire events and conditions that flow from this beast, the rider on the white horse. In a sense, these three riders are simply the rider on the white horse in action. He goes forth to conquer, and in doing so, he takes peace from the earth and brings poverty and famine, and finally, death and Hades. These are the actions of the godless secular beast, the conqueror on the white horse who appears at the time of the end. This concludes episode 49. Thank you for watching and listening. Until next time, remember that Jesus encouraged us to let not your hearts be troubled, but rather to rejoice and be exceedingly glad.